as much flack as players get from traveling with their coaches, as much as people get flack for going to different schools and getting paid all this money, Tetairoa McMillan and Noah Fifita have decided to stay at Arizona after Jedd Fisch took the job at Washington. Now, the thing was, we had said this and we were called idiots for saying that Jedd Fisch was going to go and take another job somewhere because of how good that he's been doing at Arizona. And a national championship caliber team went out and they got their coach of the future. And if you look at Jedd Fisch's career, just like Kalen DeBoer's career, he's won everywhere that he's been. He's taken the road less traveled. He was a coach for many, many years, a quarterback coach for many, many years. And I don't blame him for taking the Washington job. I literally thought Noah Fifita and Tetairoa McMillan were going to follow him. But it seems like I think the freshman commit from last year, I forget his name, he went ahead and traveled to Washington with them. Noah Fifita came out at the basketball game the other night and said, they are not done yet. They got business to finish. I love this. Going into the Big 12 next year, well, which is not actually the Big 12 anymore, but going into the Big 12 next year, or this next football season, with these guys putting their money where their mouth is. Now, say what you want about NIL, maybe that had something to do with it, but I'm going to give these guys the benefit of the doubt. They stayed on. They got a new head coach in Brent Brennan coming in from San Jose State. We know what he did with Chevin Cordero on the boys and tried to make a they were not a pushover team by any stretch of the imagination. We all watched the USC game this year, and we knew USC was having some problems. But before I get into what I got to say about Noah Fifita and McMillan and how much they matter to Arizona and why they're going to have such a good year, I think, again, and I was the one, and Hayden is my witness. I was the one that said Arizona was going to be really good this year, like sneaky good. They went ahead and won 9 games. So, Hayden, give us your thoughts on Noah Fifita and Tetairoa McMillan staying.
I love it. I absolutely love it. In a day and age where it's more just seeing like players be more committed to coaches and stuff and NIL and all that, he's showing his loyalty to Arizona, saying, hey, I'm here to play for the school and not for the coach. I love that. That's something you really don't see a lot in college football, and it's a great thing to see as well.
Logan?
Yeah, I like it, man. Noah Fifita, a true freshman last year, came in through the season, performed very well. McMillan, 90 catches, 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, 15 yards a catch, actually. Yeah, I'm reading those stats off ESPN. No, but, it's great, man. I really like it. They're going to get Brent Brennan as their head coach. Of course, it's upsetting that Jedd Fisch isn't going to be there anymore because we would have liked to see him stay there. But, he went to bigger and better things with Washington, national championship level team. I'm not mad at it at all. I think Noah Fifita is going to be a legit Heisman candidate next year. And to be honest, there's not really anyone else in the Big 12 that's going to compete with them for the top of that conference. So they're probably going to win that. And I would not be surprised if Noah Fifita is a Heisman candidate next season.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's the biggest thing too. Arizona lost a very good head coach, but they still got a Heisman level quarterback who absolutely balled out versus Oklahoma, who had a great year playing this year. And even when I've been watching film on like players from Arizona, it's just like every time I'm like watching it, it's like, holy crap, Noah Fifita, he's gonna be nicer next year.
Yeah. The one thing I didn't expect was Noah Fifita to come in. I thought a lot of the success that was going to happen was because of Jaden Delora last year. And granted, he did play really well, and I know he was hurt, and Noah Fifita came in and basically took the reins of the quarterback position and never let it go over solid competition in Jaden Delora, because I thought that he was highly disrespected in Washington. He had some legal troubles, got himself in trouble outside of which they all came out not to be true. I'm not going to get into all of that. If you guys want to read up about what had happened, That's not the case here. I'm not here to slander the kid, and the charges were dropped. Then comes into this season with a lot of high hopes under Jedd Fisch and plays well. That Mississippi State game went on to overtime. We watched the end of that, and that was pretty much a thriller there. And they ended up losing that game in overtime. But Noah Fifita played 12 games out of the 13 that they played this year, but he really only started 9 games. So he did come in a lot. He didn't come in at all during that Mississippi State game. His very first start actually was week 5 against Washington, where I believe he had a little over, if not 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, I believe, in that game. So he played really well against a national championship caliber team. But on the season overall, in his 9 starts, he had like 41 yards here, 7 yards there, but his combined yards, 2,869 yards, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Not really your dual threat quarterback. That wasn't his thing. Didn't have any touchdowns on the ground. Had like negative 33 yards or something like that on the ground too. Pocket passer. Now here's an interesting thing. He was 7-2 as a starter. He averaged 311 yards per game, 2.7 touchdowns per game. And if I had to crunch the numbers. Now this is interesting. If he was to play all 13 games last year with those averages, he would have had 4,043 yards, 35.1 touchdowns. We'll just say 35. He would have finished third in yards in all the NCAA. He would have been tied for 4th in passing touchdowns. Now, Tetairoa McMillan was a highly sought-after wide receiver, too, and they thought he was going to enter the transfer portal. And everybody thought that Noah Fifita and him were going to be a package deal wherever they went. He was a sophomore last year. 90 catches, 1,402 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Now, Jacob Cowing also had 90 catches, and he's going to be at the Senior Bowl as well. Very, very good wide receiver. But Tetairoa McMillan was 9th in catches, 5th in yards, and tied 16th in touchdowns. So these are legitimately top 10, if not top 5 players in their positions going into this next year. Now, with Brent Brennan coming over with San Jose State, bringing a 34-48 record. He was a wide receiver coach for years, so he's going to love having McMillan. And he's also going to have a primed Noah Fifita in place, too. The only thing that concerns me is 0-3 in bowl games, but San Jose State didn't really have that great of a they had a pretty good team. It wasn't I wouldn't say that they were great. So Noah Fifita staying with Tetairoa McMillan. I'm willing to say right now he's a Heisman candidate to me.
Oh,
and
yeah, same here.
And if you don't think that he is, you just never watched him play either. Because I've been screaming about Noah Fifita ever since I've seen him play, which was pretty much after the Washington game. If you go back to our videos, kid he's a beast. Better than JJ McCarthy at 100%. This point right now.
100%. Like,
if Noah Fifita was going into this draft, he'd be ranked higher than JJ McCarthy.
Yeah,
he'd be ranked higher than a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
who are you taking right now? Cam Ward or Noah Fifita?
Noah Fifita. Like, at least Noah Fifita didn't go on a cold stretch when you needed him most.
Imagine Noah Fifita at Ohio State.
Oh my God.
And not Kyle McCord.
No. Bruh,
and not Kyle McCord.
They would have won the national championship, if I'm being honest.
Give him that QB play with Marvin Harrison, Julian Fleming, Cade Strover.
This is why I say, even in the NFL, your positional rooms matter. Mm-hmm. I don't think Noah Fifita is the quarterback that he is, and him and Jayden Delore are like really good friends. Those two, it almost reminded me of when Jalen Hurts got benched and Tua came in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they were on the sidelines having a great year, and I think Jayden Delore knew that his job wasn't getting it back after Noah Fifita was balling out. So, Love the kid, man. Love the kid, and I'd be pressed to say I was the first one talking about him. I don't want to hear nobody else saying, "Oh, I did this." Nope, I said it first, man. I told y'all about Arizona, and as soon as I saw Noah Fifita play, I knew he was one of the best quarterbacks in the country last year that nobody talked about.
100%.